Hello, and welcome to Khyber Shards, a 5th edition actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world. Casey, what happened last time?
Oh, so much happened, and I'm going to attempt to do some of the highlights. We stupidly went to go visit Herazi to warn her about Colseer's return, which in fact just led Colseer to her. None of us have any feelings about what happened. Colseer attacked. Herazi fought with Colseer. Herazi sent us in the time machine on our way. We ended up in the future, in which Colseer won and is ruling. And as we were trying to find out more information about the time period, we were then followed and attacked by Colseer Resistance, aka the Rebel Warren Gang, who also hates us a lot now.
And Herazi died.
So only bad things.
Maybe.
Only bad things happened last time.
Exclusively bad things.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You got free drinks. You got free drinks at the Sword and Shield.
At least there's that, Philip. You know what? At least there's that.
That was a good thing. It was a good thing that happened.
That anyway.
Y'all
That's not exclusive to this timeline.
It still happened. I didn't say it couldn't have happened any other way. I just pointed it out.
I would like to argue that
Also,
these drinks
I got a
cost
bowl
a
of
lot.
water.
You did, in fact. You were a fox.
That's true. You were in fact a fox.
Water's always free.
That is not true.
Yeah, well,
Sonic charges you for water.
Yes, it does. I learned that last week.
Yeah, it's not. Anyway. So, here we are in a dark alley, surrounded by Donabella and Kadric and Ilya and Bajak. And you've just had a brief conversation, and Kadric has expressed that you need to talk to Dane.
Okay.
Come on, I'll take you to the ship.
Where? How many of you are there from when we were there?
Not enough. And Kadric turns and pulls the hood up on his cloak and starts leading the way through the city.
Can you tell us what happened since we've left? Just on the way?
Let's get to the ship. We can tell you on the flight.
Oh. Okay.
Kadric leads, followed closely by Donabella. Bajak is just a little behind you, and Ilya keeps flitting in and out of the shadows. Ilya seems to just sort of flow from one shadow to another without much evidence of her stepping out of them at any point. Donabella stays close ahead, and Bajak is stumping along behind, just behind you all. as you move through the city. Everybody give me a stealth roll.
Natural 1.
Ari stubs his toe real hard.
Oh, I do have advantage. So let me roll.
That's
with
true.
advantage.
You still got your tattoo.
Natural 2
Ooh.
for a 9.
Oh
Plus,
my
it's a
gosh,
solid
I'm not
stealth
signed in.
modifier.
That's why I can't do any rolls.
12.
Eee.
I think I'm going to push that.
Okay.
15.
$19.
Okay. As you move through the streets of the very beautified and upscale town that Stormreach now is, there's a lot of public lighting that seems to dim inexplicably as you move or past it until you have gone by before returning to its normal brightness. Every now and again, Cadric pauses, and you wait as patrols go past, either walking on the ground or in some sort of aerial skiff going through the upper levels of the gigantic city. There are numerous giants on the street in various places, as well, along with quite a lot of drow and people of many other species. As before, there are there's a lot of variety here. There's just a lot more of a different variety than you're used to. Cadric keeps moving you along through what you probably work out as having once been Summerfield, the neighborhood you lived in for a while, and eventually gets to a place where things are still a little bit more run down, and finds a door, and he nods at Ilya, and Ilya disappears. And there's a moment, and then Ilya opens the door from the inside, and Cadric remains by the door. Donabella leads you in. Cadric and Majok come through last and close the door behind you. Down this way, as they lead you down some stairs, and then through a long and quite small tunnel until you come out in what looks like a natural cave and see the strange prototype airship that Dane flew you in, sitting in the cave. All right. Everybody aboard.
He's not here?
No. We'll get you to him. Donabella says, we didn't complete the mission. This is more important. And you go aboard. Donabella walks immediately to the front of the ship and drops into the pilot's seat. Cadric watches after her, looks at the other two. There's a lot of meaningful looks among the quartet of them. And after a moment, Bajak goes forward and sits down in the co-pilot's seat. You see darkness ahead of you, and then a slightly dimmer light as the opening appears, and then the ship takes off through the sky. Good.
I was just going to say, Pug is going to sit and look out to try to see if it's the same city. Are we flying over the city? Or are we flying out of the city?
You're flying out of the city, but you can see that the city is no longer a tumble of ruin that it used to be. It no longer looks quite so ramshackle and makeshift. It has enormous, elaborate buildings. There's light everywhere. The huge statue of Kulsir towering over the harbor is lit up with spotlights from below, and there are things moving around through the air as well as on the ground. And you can see a busy harbor and a sky dock.
And that sky dock is where the Falconer's Tower used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Probably the first thing that would draw your attention as different is as you start to get out to sea. So there were always some significantly rocky shoals out from Stormreach called Shargon's Teeth. These look entirely different. They look much, much more severe. There are spires of knife-like rock projecting up from the water. And as you look around, it seems to extend for miles out from the city as Donabella flies you out over what you would have called the Thunder Sea. Looks very different. And there's a lot of shipwrecks in the spires.
As Shade realizes that we're departing the city, I would like to cast summon woodland creatures. Conjure woodland creatures.
Okay.
And I would like to do, if it's okay, I would like to do some sort of like predator bird, realizing we're
Sure.
on a ship. A falcon, hawk, and then I will do speak with animals, and point them in the direction of the ship and ask them to go watch over the ship, the time pyramid, and protect it. If anybody approaches or comes looking for it, ask them to watch over it and attack anybody who gets close.
Okay. The Falcon, probably understanding what you intend, one of your new companions will open a porthole on the side that's kind of like rolling down the window on a airplane. And the Falcon dives out and flies back towards the city.
Ari lays his head back and closes his eyes, and realizing that it's been 20 years and no contact, he just reaches his mind out to his patron just to see if he can hear it, like, "Hey, I'm back. Don't know what you've been up to, but I really hope you're still there, because if not, I'm less than useless."
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, need to check something.
No, it's cool. My nerves have been super stable leading up to this experience. I need a little more
Long
anticipation.
pause gives me opportunity to even out.
Oh, I almost lost anxiety for a second there. Whew.
Ari, you feel a pull on your mind. For which I would allow you a wisdom saving throw, unless Ari doesn't resist the pull.
Ari wouldn't resist the pull.
Okay. The Shade and Pog, Ari goes just limp in the seat next to you.
Pog would grab his arm and Ari, what are you?
Yeah. Medicine check?
Sure.
Ari,
Might just look like you fell asleep.
I mean, it essentially does.
if you slumped though.
11.
Ari appears to be asleep.
I think he's just sleeping.
Ari, you're in a very different space than the last place that you met your patron.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a very ancient palace or temple. There's a wide oblong room, and there are what seem to be elevated seats, not quite thrones, but elevated seats spaced around it, but they're all empty. Well, okay, that's not quite right. There are all these elevated seats, and there are figures sitting in them, but they're not moving. Like, they seem dead.
Okay.
They're not occupied by anyone who's doing anything. And then at the end of it, there is a proper throne. Two, actually. And in one of them is seated your patron. She looks very different. She looks alive. She has... Her wings are no longer ruinous. Bright metallic green scales flow down her arms. She wears a black gown and a crown that seems to be made from ivory or perhaps bone. And you can see a flowing, radiantly glowing dragon mark covering most of her body. And she looks down at you in the middle of this space that you can tell you're not really here.
Yeah.
And says, I thought you'd gotten yourself killed.
Tragically, it seems worse, but...
I managed.
Tried to fiddle with the flow of time and went the wrong direction, so...
Well, you skipped a great deal of difficulty then.
Yeah. Tried to stop some of it, but you seem to be doing well for yourself in my absence.
I don't know how reliant you think I was.
Oh, I didn't
On
think
your
that you relied on
abilities.
me at all. Just acknowledging that I wasn't here for it.
True.
Is there
Yes.
somebody on the second throne, Philip, next to her, or is it empty?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I would accept I don't know. It seems unlikely, but Ari's got a whole lot of weird things. I would accept a history check, see if you can figure out where you are.
Okay.
Ari's got a little weird knowledge.
13.
13, you're really not sure where you are.
Yeah. Ari, where are we?
This is Shay Mordai. The center of Arenal.
Ah,
The chamber that once held the figures who proudly slaughtered my family.
you seem to have done very well for yourself while I've been gone.
I chose my moment. And
Is
you
Ezra
had delivered
alive?
me a thing I needed. He is.
Good.
He's occupied at the moment, and so he's not here to greet you.
It's fine. Not sure. I imagine that, even more sadly, you're probably the warmest greeting I'm going to get upon arrival from anyone that knew me. So,
I don't know.
Well, like you said, you
If you're
weren't reliant
concerned, you're
on me,
welcome to
not
come
me.
here.
I appreciate that.
Happily accept your service. I may not have relied greatly on you, but you're clearly a capable figure. If you managed to jump a couple of decades into the future, that's not nothing.
More
I'm
impressive
sure
if
I
that's
have
what you
work for
intended.
you. I'm sure I could provide you and your companions a place in this world you find yourself in.
Good to know. You have
Certainly a warmer welcome than you'll find if you stay close to Stormreach.
a bunch of people called me Exalted One, so, you know.
They don't know which exalted one you are.
Yeah. You got a Cliff's Notes version for me of what happened there? Do you know?
Kulcia took the city. The nations of Corvair made an ill-fated attempt to undo that. Far and away too little too late. And I took my chance. The elves of Arenal planned an invasion. Left the island undefended.
Well, I don't suppose you've got any extra power to spare as my patron in my attempt to right this wrong. I just want to go back to where I came
Right.
from.
What wrong?
We jumped forward 20 years. I don't want that to have happened.
What will you do should you succeed in going back, Ari?
I don't have a list, but I imagine a good deal of people that I knew and cared about died when Kolsir took the city. My intention would just be to try and prevent them from dying.
You give me a list. I'll have them back to you.
At what cost?
None. You stay here, contentedly, and I'll have them all back to you. Anyone you want.
All right, well, when I have a list, I'll talk to my companions and give you a call.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for the update and the offer. And guess this is about the time where I wake up and talk to my friends.
Where are you going, Ari?
I don't know, honestly. I got on a ship and we're flying. I didn't ask questions.
From Stormreach?
Mm-hmm.
Very well. And you wake up. Well, that took a little bit. So, Shade and Pog, are you doing anything after you conclude that Ari has passed out?
Yes. As soon as Shade is content that he is just sleeping, Shade would sit down next to him, which I imagine is on the floor.
No, there are seats
And-
along the sides of the vessel. But you can sit. I mean, you can sit on the floor next to him. There are also seats.
In my head, she's sitting directly beside him. So if he's on a bench, then she's on the bench. If he's in a chair, then she's seated on the floor. Like she's
Okay.
She is close enough to hear him wake up.
Okay.
Make sure he's breathing. She's very close. She will start the concentration spell for locate creature, searching for Hirazi.
Hirazi is not within 1,000 feet of you.
She was going to try anyways. She has tears coming down her face. And is just saying, please, 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 please.
Do you tell me that that's what you're doing, or?
Shade, yeah, I do. Probably not in a super coherent way. Once Shade is convinced that Ari is sleeping, she would sit down and go, I have to find her, and she'll look at you, but also is sort of just looking past you. I have to find her. She has to be okay. She could have been somewhere else. She could have come back.
Shade. Go ahead.
And then she starts the spell.
When it concludes and she comes back. Anything?
No, nothing.
I understand what has you crying right now. I think we need to be ready for a lot of that. This is not the world that it was before. They are not the same.
We did this.
I think what's worse is that we didn't do this. We made a choice that was a mistake. But we also didn't do what our choice was. We didn't decide to go 20 years ahead. We didn't decide for the kids to grow up. This is not what we tried to do.
But it's what happened. Our choice killed Hirazi and made this possible, made this happen.
It did.
I should have just destroyed the amulet or kept it hidden. She was safe.
For a time.
She was safe.
For a time. That was ending.
Thousands and thousands of years being safe is a very long time for me to have ruined that. I don't know how to fix it.
Neither do I.
Kedrick comes back and hands each of you looks like it's a small packet of rations, just some food. It'll be a few hours in the air. Ilya comes back and drops into one of the other seats. And Kedrick sits down and starts to eat.
Is Ari awake now, or is he still knocked out?
We'll say Ari wakes up about this point.
What'd I miss?
Kedrick tosses you a packet of rations.
Thanks.
About 20 years.
I just had a conversation with her, my patron, the Forgotten Queen.
So she's alive?
She's thriving. She's taken over Aerenal. The elves tried to fight Kolsir.
That
Had a conversation with who? Ilya leans forward, looking very intense.
It hurts my brain when I say her name, so I'm trying to figure out how to. Who cares at this point? Aranda's Vol.
It doesn't hurt your brain. What did you tell her?
I told her remarkably little. I told her that we jumped forward 20 years into the future. That's why she hadn't heard from me in a long time. And asked her what has happened from her perspective and what she's been up to. So I told her that I was leaving Stormreach, but that's it.
Ilya gets up and goes forward, and you hear her saying, Donabella, you need to change course. And you hear quieter conversation. Donabella says several words that sound shocking to you because there's probably still a part of your brain in which she's 12. And the ship changes direction.
Great.
What is... And Kedrick is still there, right?
Yeah.
What does she have to do with now?
Well, I don't know what her interest in you will be, but we're not really interested in being intercepted. And she might.
Sorry.
I don't know what she'll think of your appearance.
Well, she seems very intent on us staying here, was the primary thing I got from her conversation.
I mean, well, you're here, so, you know. She's the reborn queen. She rules Eastern Corvair and the Isles.
Wow.
So not good.
Everything east of the Scion Sound and the Mornland. From the Frostfell to Aerenal.
Thriving.
Yeah. 5 nations and some of the younger nations all banded together for an assault when Kolsir took the city. And he raised the spires around their fleets, sank their fleets in an afternoon. Called the Sea of Blades now. And then the elves decided to make their move, not wanting to risk his return to power. And when the Undying Court put its power forth from Arenal, that's when she struck. Thousands of undead came out of Fey crossings somehow and overwhelmed Arenal before they knew what was happening. And she woke up all of the mothballed undead soldiers in Karnath. Took that. She had the submission of the rest of the Lazar princes. Valinar's a wasteland. Everybody else submitted. Kolsir sacked Sharn in reprisal for the attack. There's a alliance of the old Galifar nations in north central Corvair. Kolsir rules Zendrik. He has some outposts around Sharn. Vol rules the east and the Isles. Shadow marches and still more or less independent draw him. But yeah, the map's changed.
What happened to the houses?
Different things. Shadow houses submitted to Vol and serve her now. Most of the houses still exist in the north with the new Galifar alliance. Some of the others have retreated back to their old homelands if those are still available, but there's not a lot of mass commerce in magical goods outside the Dominion right now.
Who did we lose, Kadric?
Malcolm took the kids from the school to Sharn. When no one handed over Shade, Kolsir's agents were already in the city. The Stormlords were dead within a couple of days. And then he stormed the city. Most of the factions submitted pretty quickly. Swords of Karn, Iron Watch, Knights of Thrain fought. Dane came back and worked with Thora to evacuate people. And when his forces got to them, Dane was on a run, was running people out to Three Barrel Cove to load them onto the available airships. Thora killed Mirren, and Kolsir arrived, and he killed her and Ezri.
I have a.
Mrs. B died in the sack on Sharn. Some of the kids are with Dane, most of them. We got north kids. We were. Dane got us out. Levexi went to Arganessen with Cindy. We still hear from her. Work with her sometimes. They're obviously
sure.
active against Kulsir.
Not sure who Cindy is, but glad Levexi made it out.
The dragon,
The what?
You never told us about a dragon.
No.
I guess not. I tried to tell you without telling you. The dragon oath, the sword. We rescued Cindy's egg from some Lyrandar agents, and she gave me the sword. She gave us stuff from her hoard, and we started doing quests for her at that point. Levexi was always working for her. That was what Levexi's tribe was in Stormreach for, was protecting her nest.
Well, according to Vol, Esri is alive. She, I guess, brought him back.
Ah. Well.
She can do that?
She made me an offer while I was talking to her.
Or words?
Kedrick looks at you rather intently with his one eye, and Ilya is coming back and sits down and watches.
If we agree to stay here, if we don't try to return back where we came from, if we can find contentment in this time, we hand her a list of those that we lost to Kulsir, and she'll bring them back.
That sounds way too perfect.
Well, she got everything she wanted because Kulsir rose to power. So while she's not asking anything directly, if we succeed, her path to victory is compromised. So, but just thought I'd let y'all know that was the tail end of our conversation.
You keep talking about going back. How are you going to do that?
I don't know. We still have the ship we came here in. Well, we don't have it. We left it in the jungle, but
Could you bring back Harazi? And then Harazi could fix the ship?
we'd have to deceive her into doing that, because obviously if we say bring back a Sphinx, she's going to know that that's a problem.
Are they the same when she brings them back?
I don't know. I've never seen anyone she's brought back.
I mean, I know that you all did stuff on your end, but she brought me back. And I was the same. So, well, my patron changed, but I don't know. I don't know what we should do, but
Can't believe you would consider taking another offer from her.
I don't think it's a time for any ideas to not be thought of.
No, I mean, it's a good point. My ideas are not the most reliable given our current situation, so I'm the one that got us in this mess.
Oh, we got
False.
us here.
I recall both of you explicitly saying that you did not want to go back, that you would rather stay with the people
And then we did.
that we were aligned with. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we changed our minds.
You're giving yourself too much credit. I don't know what you all think you would have done.
Things differently.
Not gotten Harazi killed.
He's the
The
founder
one
eventually.
Sphinx with the one time machine could have stayed safe. Could have
She was
stayed
not the
safe.
only Sphinx.
Are there other Sphinxes?
It's Flame Wind.
Right. That's true. We knew that. Do they have a time machine?
I don't know. I didn't know Harazi had a time machine. Don't think I knew the name Harazi before you guys left.
They did not talk about her much. And for good reason. What is Levexi doing with the dragon? What are they
The dragons have
working on?
fought the Dominion before.
Right.
As I understand it, they're trying to prepare for another. It won't be good. The last time they did it, they broke the continent. But that's where it's getting to. They're watching. Cindy says they'll watch until Kulsir goes too far. They don't. I don't know. There's some reason they don't like to intervene. Cindy's not even supposed to send us on missions, but we stay in contact.
What is Dane planning?
He gets people out when he can. He tries to sabotage any effort by Kulsir to extend his dominion over Corvair. Kulsir pits people against one another. He uses the Red Ring. His notion of people are to advance through strength. So he tests them.
What does he do
It's-
with them once they're tested?
If they prove themselves, he advances them. He promotes them, gives them positions of power. Aberrants have all the top positions. But there are some non-aberrants in in important positions, but aberrants have the top positions. Always. People who just try to get by, just live a regular life, they're, you know, they own businesses, but they're an underclass.
I'm guessing there's no weaknesses y'all have been able to identify.
He's mortal. But you'd have to get close. You'd have to beat him.
The first time
No one has.
Kelsir was in charge, he had an elf with him. Does he have that elf with him now?
He's got a lot of elves.
I'm forgetting the name. There we go.
Oh. Yeah. Our understanding is he's being held in a detention center somewhere. Dane might know. I don't know for sure. Right now, there's an uneasy peace between the Reborn Queen and the Dominion. She may be content, he may be content, but I don't know. Everybody else is on their own. There's peace of sorts, but aberrants aren't welcome in the New Galifar region. And if you're an aberrant and you stand against Khyber, you end up in the arena. So
What about in Vol's
Donabella
kingdom?
calls back from the top. We're coming up on it. You want to use the harnesses. Shade, you might want to get in a seat.
Okay.
There are aberrants in Vol's kingdom. She doesn't really care. There are people of her bloodline in most of the positions of power, or else significant undead that have been loyal to her. She has vassals on the thrones of anywhere that matters in the East.
All right.
Looking out the front, you can see that what it is. You're approaching a coastline. We're going to say it's been a couple of hours, and you haven't been talking consistently, but it's been a few hours. And you're approaching a coastline, and rising above the coastline is a massive wall of roiling mist that occasionally appears to have faces in it. Yeah, this is, I don't know, there probably was a gentler way to prepare you for this, but we're in the ruins of Metrol. That's where Dane's operations are based out of. So, yeah, we'll be in the Mournland in a minute. Nothing follows us in. That's so.
Good.
You get used to it. The mist swallows the ship, and you are coasting along through wisps of mist If you look out the windows towards the ground, you see various strange geographic features. Hills that seem to have been turned into crystal, waterways that are bright red as blood, forests that seem frozen, battlefields still strewn with corpses as if they died yesterday. Ilya leans back against the chair and sighs. It's not an easy world, but you find what you can.
Did your parents make it out?
Most of the Kaltiar went underground and joined with the Umbragen. They're there. There are new things to be learned there, but we don't feel the forest anymore. He took that from us. After about another hour, you feel the ship descending. There are the ruins of a vast city below you. Donabella brings the ship in and settles it down on the top of a huge spire of earth in the ruins of what looks like an old estate. Ari is the most widely traveled. You would know that the city of Metrol, in the city of Metrol, the posh place to live was on the top of one of the Khyber Shards, these huge, arcanely created spires of land and stone with big country estates on it, so that you could still live on a big country estate but still be in the middle of the city. We're not here. We're down below. The door opens and you step out.
Does he?
All okay?
Sure.
Lead the way.
Does he know we're here?
I sent him a message. Okay. I don't know what you guys have heard. It's okay to breathe. You get weird dreams, but you get used to that. And walks down the gangway and into the mist-shrouded plateau.
So we do this now, huh?
Yeah, we have to follow.
Yeah, let's just go.
Bug does.
All right. Kedrick leads you over to an outbuilding of the ruinous estate and opens a door that reveals a lift, which still functions, remarkably enough, and carries you down a long way and lets you out on the ground level. Okay, it's only about a mile to the safe house, but you're in the Mournland, so if you just ignore the mourners, they mostly ignore you. But there's other stuff that, wants to eat you, so just be on the lookout.
Great.
If we run into any blades, let me do the talking. And yeah, this is a weapons out sort of situation.
Blades?
Warforged. Lord of Blades still rules a good bit of the Mournland. They come to scavenge here sometimes. We've got kind of an arrangement. Most of the time I can talk us out of any kind of conflict, but just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
I hate that this is safer than staying in the city.
We went against him, so he'd have hunted Dane down, and we live free. That's as close as it gets. And he looks over at Ilya. I'm only gonna watch her be a gladiator or a slave or I don't know what I'd have been. Because Donabella would have been fine. Maybe. But Bajak. He killed Bajak outright. So what else do you do? You see Ilya touch Kadric's arm gently. Say, come on. And they turn and head into the mist. So I need another stealth check from everyone. Actually, I'll take either a stealth or perception check. You pick. Both be ways to not get into too much trouble.
17.
20.
27 perception.
Okay. What did Ari and Pog roll?
20. Stealth. Yeah.
Okay. So you are following along pretty well. The four of them fan out as before. Kadric's in the lead, Donabella a little behind, Bajak behind you, and Ilya just flitting from one patch of shadow to another. After a bit, Kadric puts a hand up. You will pause. Shade, you can see, with your very good perception check, you can see a shape in the mist that's like the wrong shape, and then it's the wrong color. Like it's roiling with fire, and it's almost spider-like, but just made entirely of fire walking around. And then as it gets closer, because you have very good perception, it doesn't look spider-like. It looks like just a mass with a bunch of fingers of fire sticking off, like a hand just crawling around on the ground. And then it moves a little towards you all and then scuttles away in a different direction. Once it moves off, Kadric waves everyone forward again. You begin to move forward. as you pass, you occasionally see translucent forms of people that seem to be made out of the mist, going about really mundane activities, sitting in ruined cafes, walking along the streets. If he sees you paying too much attention, Bajak just quietly says, just let them go about their business. Just ignore them. They're not extremely dangerous, but there's a lot more of them than us. And you are coming across an intersection. And there are just corpses just piled in the midst of one of the streets. They all look as if they died yesterday. Though obviously no one's lived here for many years. And as you are hurrying across the street, as Cadric sort of hurries you along, suddenly the pile of corpses shifts and moves and rises up as a massive crab-like creature, the shell of which is just covered with bodies, rises up, raises a pincer to strike, and then something silver drops on it from above, and you just see something kind of spider-like standing on the back of it, just jamming its claws into the back of it over and over and over and over again. The crab-like thing snaps with its pincers and then heaves and just collapses on the ground again. And one of these retriever creatures clambers down off of it, and then away.
He did it.
What?
Dane had told us he was going to turn them to him.
No. It's a lot weirder than that. Come inside. And you could meet the gang, I guess. And he walks over and pushes a stone on the side of a wall, and a doorway forms in it and opens. Cadric waves you through.
On through. Eyes forward, just moving.
You're in a bare stone room. Donabella crosses and leans against the wall and whispers something very quiet. And the door opens. I guess I would allow a perception check from anyone who wants to try to overhear Donabella whisper the password. Okay.
It's a 12.
I also would try 23.
Wow. Shade knows it.
Shade, you hear her lean very close to one of the stones and whisper, Arabella. And the door opens. And you step through into a wood panel, like a room with a wood floor, and brick walls, tables. There's a firelight inside. It's warmer. It's almost homey. And standing in the middle of the room, watching the door, is Dane. Well, for the record, I never thought you ran. I did think you were dead. So this is probably only on one side a pleasant surprise. That is where we will wrap up this episode.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Khyber Shards. We hope you have enjoyed this little peek into the age of Kulsir. Please please let us know what you think in the comments down below. Down below in the description, you'll also find links to our social media, to the Geek Pantheon YouTube channel, where you can find Eric making RPG videos, to Colin's Twitch, where he is sorry BTR, the O in that be a 0. New episodes of Khyber Shards drop on Mondays, and new Khyber Shards answers drop on Fridays. It's like 3 episodes in a row that I've struggled with that, and I don't know why all of a sudden.
We just started this.
I know. Until next time, thanks for rolling with us.